Oh, it's finally here. Day 5 of the Virginia Tank and Maxi. I am so ready to try this dress on. I'm so ready to take pictures, but I have to finish it first. So we have that. So what I'm going to do today is we are going to finish our dresses. If you did the waistband version of the dress or you did a skirt yesterday, today you're going to hem. If you're wanting to do the casing for the Virginia Maxi, today's the day for that, and we'll also hem it and we'll be done. Done. All we have to do is put it on, take some fabulous photos, and share everything. So let's get it done. Okay, so here we are. We are ready to work on our dress with the casing. We will need 3/8" elastic. We will need our front bodice, or our bodice, and we will need the skirt portion. All right? So the first thing we're going to do is, let's get our skirt portion out. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to slide the skirt over the tank so that they are right sides together at the top of the waist, okay? And then we're gonna sew the tank to the skirt using a 5/8" seam allowance, not the typical 3/8 that we use. We're using a 5/8" seam allowance. And we're going to go to our regular machine and use a stretch stitch. All right, so let's start there. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn my skirt wrong side out, because these have to be right sides together. So skirt is wrong side out. I'm going to grab my bodice and I'm just going to gather it together in my hand. This is the raw edge, and this raw edge of our bodice will meet the raw edge of our waistband. So I'm going to bring that through. Here's my tank. So just like we've done in the past, we're going to match up our side seams, and then we'll quarter it just exactly like we've done in the past. Now, you don't necessarily have to quarter it at this point because we're not lining a waist knit band up or anything. You just want the raw edges to meet and just everything to lay flat. All right, and once we do this, we will head to the sewing machine. I'll use my regular sewing machine this time. Do not use a serger. Do not use a serger. Use a regular machine for this. We do not want to be cutting anything off. I repeat, we do not want to cut anything off. I'm going to head to my sewing machine. I'm going to use a stretch stitch, and I am going to stitch all the way around this skirt and top, the skirt and bodice, using a 5/8" seam allowance. So let's do it. All right, here we are. I have used a 5/8" seam allowance and used my stretch stitch, and we are ready to move on to the next step. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull the front bodice up. All right, and you can see I've got this pretty wide seam allowance, 5/8". What I'm going to do now is I'm going to push the seam allowance that I just sewed down toward the skirt, and I'm going to press it. So I want it all facing the skirt. So I think, yes. See, because it kind of wants to flip up. We don't want it to flip up. I want to make sure that I'm good to go here. Okay, grab my iron, warm it up. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to head back over to my sewing machine, and I'm going to edge stitch that seam allowance down. So okay, so here we've got where this is the seam allowance right here that we pressed down. I'm going to go through and I want to edge stitch across that edge all the way around. However, because we're going to be feeding elastic through this, I'm going to need to leave a 1" opening so that our elastic can go through. Now, so I want to make sure that opening, I want that opening to be on the back or on the side, somewhere not in the front. I don't really want it in the front. So this is the front. I'm gonna start on the back, if that makes sense, and keep my 1-inch opening on the back. And that way we'll have that hole to feed our elastic through. I'm gonna use my stretch stitch again and go all the way around, leaving a 1-inch opening in the back. So here we go. All right, so here we are. We have it all stitched down, and now we have just like a little casing around our dress. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our 3/8 inch elastic. Now, how do you get the proper length? What length do you need? Well, you can take your waist measurement, and then you can subtract a couple of inches, and remember that it's going to overlap a 1/2 inch or so when you sew it together at the end. Or that's pretty much a guesstimate, like if you're making it for someone else. But if you're making it for yourself, then you can just put the elastic around your waist and pick what's comfortable for you. It's all about your comfort. So it's just a basic guideline, okay? So now I'm gonna grab my bodkin here. You can use a safety pin or even a bobby pin. All right, and I need to feed this through this opening all the way around. So if you did your seam allowances properly, if you did that 5/8 inch seam allowance and then edge stitch, you will have no problem feeding this through. All right, so now I've got a little bit of my elastic coming out of the holes here. And I'm gonna go to my sewing machine. You can put a pin or a clip in this. Overlap it about a 1/2 inch or so, whatever you're comfortable with. But I do about a 1/2 inch. I think that's what the tutorial says, is a 1/2 inch. And I'm going to zigzag stitch back and forth across this to connect the 2 raw ends of my elastic. All right, let's do it. Done. So let's pull that through so that the elastic disappears into the opening. It's not going to give you a huge amount of gathers, okay? It's not made to be that way, but it will give you some, and that's what you want. So now that we've got our, whoops. Here, let me trim this. I've got a little excess elastic there. There we go. That's better. So put your seam allowance back over so you're hiding your elastic here. There we go. And then we're going to head back to our sewing machine, and I'm going to stitch that opening closed. I'm going to use my stretch stitch again to stitch it closed. So here we go. All done. Let's turn our dress right side out. Let's take a good look at what we've got here. And so you can see how cute it looks, and you've got this kind of waistband area. Yeah, I've made this and I wear it just like this, and it looks super cute. It kind of blouses the tank a little bit. But additionally, I've also added a belt to mine at this elastic casing, and it adds just a little pop of something different, and it's super cute. So I mean, you have styling options that make it even more fun. All right, so that is basically a finished dress. Now here's the thing. We have one skirt and 2 dresses that need to be hemmed. So let's talk through hemming right now so we can finish this bad boy up. Okay, so we're getting ready to hem. I realized I went out of order a little bit. Just for me, there's a particular, I don't know, way that I like to do things. I like to hem at the very end. I don't know, maybe that's weird. But that's just, I'm just weird, I guess. So we're gonna grab some clips, and we're going to grab our hem gauge. And this is super simple. It's exactly like the tank top. We're going to turn it up, so you've got the wrong side facing up here. You're going to turn it towards the wrong side 1 inch. And then you're going to press it and clip it, and then we'll go sew it. It's literally exactly the same as the tank. I am ready to head to my sewing machine. I'm going to use a stretch stitch. You can use a cover stitch. You can also use a zigzag stitch. But I'm going to use a stretch stitch, and I'm going to edge stitch all the way around to hem this. Let's press our hem. We have actually finished. If you have more to hem, then you can do that now. But if you don't want to hem and you're using knit fabric, not woven, but if you're using knit fabric and it doesn't fray, you could absolutely leave the raw edges if you like. It's totally your call. But we're all finished up. I need to go take some photos. I am super excited. Ooh, this is so pretty. Thank you so much for joining me on this sew along. I love the Virginia Tank and Maxi. It really is a staple in my closet. I have many. I wear them all summer long, all the lengths. It's one of my very favorite patterns ever. And now that I've made it in this beautiful fabric, I'm probably never going to take it off. But thank you for joining us. I really appreciate you being here. I hope you had as much fun as I did. Take a look at my final makes. Well, I will see you next month for another sew along. Bye.